Hello, welcome to Galaxy of the Force, a Star Wars podcast for kids. I'm Joseph, and I'm 6 years old. And this is Shay.
I'm Joseph's parent. Oh no! Cut! Oh no!
Oh my gosh, we need to redo this intro. Ha! Is that your fault?
It might be.
Well, let's go back into the future. Hello and welcome to Galaxy of the Force, a Star Wars podcast for kids. I'm Joseph and I am 7 years old and this is Shay.
I'm Joseph's parent.
Oh, just a note. If you're listening to this podcast right now or any other time, and you don't like Star Wars, then I am banning you from this world. Because Star Wars, probably not from this world, but from this podcast. For your own good. So, let's get on with the episode. So, welcome to Season 2. I'm so sorry, it's been such a long time. To be honest, we haven't set up anything. We've been doing other things. Let's just say that. Yeah. But welcome to Season 2. And today, we haven't decided Rebels or The Mandalorian. Because we've decided that have we done a podcast since Halloween?
No, we've not done a podcast since Halloween.
Well, then we've decided, or probably I've just decided, that we could do a spooky story.
Oh, great plan. Okay, and what's
I only made that up right now. I wanted to do something. Well, I knew it would be to do with Halloween. I've just realised that we haven't done a podcast since Halloween, so I made it up right now without you. Yay!
And on thinking back to Halloween, you actually won a competition, didn't
Yes!
you?
Why do we need to talk about that?
Well, just because it's to do with Star Wars. You won Best Costume.
Oh yeah, I was dressed up as Mando.
You were dressed up as Mando and you were carrying Grogu with you.
Yeah, they loved him. Right, back to the spooky episode.
What is it that you're wanting to discuss today, Joseph, in this episode?
Well, because you don't know anything about him, because you fell asleep in that thing that we were watching about him.
Terrifying tales.
Yeah. You will have to ask me the questions like you're going to do with every other thing, because I haven't watched anything else with you.
Right, but let's say what this episode is about. Who's it about?
It is about the servant of Darth Vader. You may think it's Palpatine. It looks a lot like Palpatine too, but his name is Vaneé.
Vaneé.
Woo!
So there's something quite important that we need to be clear about before we discuss Vaneé. Do you know what canon means? If something is canon.
It's out to loads of people. Is that correct?
I think I know why you have guessed that. It's a good guess.
Tell me why you think I have this.
Well, have you guessed that because you're thinking a cannon, like, fires out a big cannonball?
Yes.
Yes. So, in literature, in stories and films and books, canon also has a different meaning.
Right.
And it is the kind of seminal, most sacred texts. So, when we talk about the canon in Star Wars, we're talking about that Skywalker saga, aren't we? Yeah? That original timeline and characters and how it all fits together. So the reason why this is important when we're talking about Vaneé is Vaneé does also appear in the canonical timeline, the timeline which is part of the canon, and in some of those films.
Is the canon like Rebels and stuff?
No, so Rebels is not necessarily canon. The canon is that Skywalker saga that we looked at in season 1. Yeah,
so
those
it's like
9 films.
What's happening in a whole different place?
It might be in the same place, but not necessarily in the original storyline.
Yeah, but Rebels is in a different galaxy.
Ah, is it? Okay, so that's a different place. But I was thinking that
And anyway,
Vaneé, do you know which film Vaneé appears in?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. And even though
What's he
Rogue One
doing in
isn't
Rogue
one of
One?
those 9 original films...
What's he doing, Rogue One?
I'll tell you in 1 second. Even though Rogue One isn't in those 9 original films, it still is part of that timeline and part of the canon because it explains something which happens in between number 3 and number 4. Episode 3 and episode 4,
Hang
I
on.
should say.
Wait, hang on. But why? What's he doing, Rogue One?
Well, this is where it might be
Oh,
helpful
yeah.
to turn to the Wikipedia.
Well, Darth Vader's castle is in Rogue One,
Yes.
and Vaneé is is Darth Vader's servant and always is there.
Yes.
So what do they do to Darth Vader's castle?
Well, let's open up the Wikipedia and find out. Right, so I've opened up Wikipedia and it tells us that Vaneé is part of the canon. He's a canonical character. And the descriptive information, every time there's a 1 next to something here, that a reference, that means that this information is coming from Rogue One. So, what's his species?
Human, and that is from Rogue One.
And his gender?
Male, and that is from Rogue One.
And what's his hair colour?
White, and that is from Rogue One.
But do we ever actually see his hair? He wears this big black cloak which covers his head, doesn't he?
Well, who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, his eyebrows are white. And
They're grey.
his eye colour in Rogue One is
Green.
but in some other things it's either black or red.
It's called something, The Tales of Darth Vader's Castle.
Yeah.
It's black, and what's 3?
That's also
The Shadows of Darth Vader's
Yeah.
Castle. And in that one's pale white. I know that's skin colour, red.
Right.
Yeah.
His eye colour is red in that. And his skin colour in Rogue One is light. And in
Tales of Darth Vader's Castle, it's pale white.
Right. So we know
His affiliation.
affiliations. He's part of the Galactic Empire in Rogue One. And he's also affiliated to the Sith and to Acolytes of the Beyond. And his master
Is Darth Vader.
Right, would you like to read us a quote from Vaneé, Joseph?
Yeah.
So here's the quote.
I know what the others think of me. The stormtroopers and Mustafarians. Poor Vaneé, pathetic Vaneé, scurrying here and scampering there, forever doing his master's bidding. But I don't care. I live to serve, and besides, I have my stories.
Ooh.
Getting spookier and spookier.
Right, tell us a bit about Vaneé then.
Vaneé was a human male attendant who served Darth Vader in the Sith Lord's castle on the planet Mustafar. Once an Imperial inspector, he was driven mad by lava fumes, becoming an obsessive servant to the Dark Lord. He, along with his master, witnessed many attacks by the Mustafarian, one by Kriakan and another by Mother Stool. In 1 year before the Battle of Yavin, Vaneé approached Vader, who was meditating in a rejuvenation chamber,
so
whatever, to inform him that Director Orson Krennic had arrived to discuss the Death Star. Later, he was present when a group of rebels, led by Lena Graff, infiltrated the fortress. They escaped, but Vader captured Tom Hudd, whom Vaneé ruthlessly tortured for months. Lena Graff returned and helped Hudd, and together they escaped Fortress Vader, with Vaneé punished to be by being attached to the torture web. Later, sometime between 3 and 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, Vaneé witnessed the Knights of Ren. Well, Ben Solo wasn't in it yet, or Kylo Ren. Remember, he was only a kid when they found it.
He witnessed them.
Knights of Ren attacked the castle and informed Vader about the intruders. At some point, Vaneé greatly angered Vader, causing Vader to lock him in a pit, only to eventually escape after the Battle of Endor. Learning his master was dead, Vaneé got worried, only for Vader's voice to speak to him, attempting to resurrect his master. Vaneé inflicted nightmares upon the galaxy. Eventually, all of Vané's enemies arrived, and Vaneé tried to sacrifice and use Lena Graff as the new host for Vader's spirit. But it all turned out to be a hallucination caused by lava fumes. So all of these enemy and Lena Graff things are just lava fumes. And Vaneé was trapped by that dream, the enemies, and had to live with his nightmares for the rest of his life. And eventually disappeared. How can he just disappear?
Well, maybe it means that we don't know what happened to him.
What if he went to a whole different galaxy where no Jedi were in, and he rose to power?
Do you think he would be able to rise to power if he's got all these problems caused by lava fumes, inhaling lava fumes? Do you think he'd be able to rise to power? I don't know if he'd know the difference between what's real and what isn't.
Right, yeah.
Maybe,
Wait,
though.
I think
Possible.
I don't think he'd even know he was having those dreams.
Maybe not.
Maybe he just thought he was a mad person.
Maybe.
He thought he was spooky.
So that tells us about the canon.
Wait, hang on. What does he do in Rogue One?
So it tells us what he does in Rogue One. He tells Darth Vader about the rebels who've come into the castle.
But her name was Janessa, not Lena Graff.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Maybe that is from a different part. Maybe that's not from Rogue One. What we might have to do, Joseph, is watch Rogue One and do that as our next episode.
I thought you've already watched it.
Well, I have, but
I have the book.
I watched it before you were born. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Why don't you read the book and then we can watch Rogue One and then we can talk about Rogue One next?
Oh
yeah?
boy, but I haven't finished the book that I'm working on.
Well,
wait, have I?
Maybe. Anyway, let's return to Vaneé now.
Yeah.
And quickly,
let's
moving away.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Moving away from the canon, let's think about
Wikipedia.
Oh, I know. I think it's when director Orson Krennic discusses the Death Star.
Yes. That's at the start of Rogue One.
In Rogue One, yeah. And Vaneé,
and maybe that's
in that he interrupts Darth Vader in his rejuvenation chamber to tell him that Orson Krennic has arrived. That's what he does in Rogue One. But, in any case, let's confirm that information by actually watching Rogue One.
Yeah.
Right, so...
Hello.
Sorry, Joseph was saying hello to the puppy who's
come
to snuggle.
Hello.
So, let's talk now, away from the canon, about terrifying tales. What's Vaneé? So does Vaneé actually narrates terrifying tales? Is that right?
Yes, he's also in terrifying tales.
And what does he? So who's he telling the terrifying tales to?
Poe Dameron, a kid who's strong with the Force, and BB-8.
Well, we know about Poe Dameron, don't we, from the sequel trilogy?
Yes.
And BB-8, and he's turned
and a hut and. Those who know, I'm one of the Jedi with those horny things, 2 of them.
Yeah.
But the same species, not the Jedi ones.
So Terrifying Tales
it was C's Quinn.
is a really fun Lego thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really like the Lego ones. They're very light-hearted. They kind of make fun of Star Wars a bit, but they obviously also love Star Wars. So
It's like Star Wars, but adding some funny bits into it, which didn't actually happen.
yeah, exactly. That's why it's not part of the canon. So
So it's part of Star Wars, but just with funny bits added.
yeah. And Vaneé, in fact, it's not Vaneé who's turned the castle into a sort of hotel.
It's this hut thingy.
It's the hut that's done that.
Good, you did watch it instead of falling asleep.
Yeah, I did watch it.
You didn't watch the last part though.
And
Tell me what happened at the last part.
Vaneé helps a droid out of the lava.
No, it doesn't! The droid climbs itself out of the lava. It's malfunctioning. It's lost his legs in the lava. Vané's in the lava. And then he says, and then NIL8, that's the droid's name.
Annihilate.
He says, "Sorry, Master, I have failed you." Its arms out, and Vaneé just puts his arm out of the lava. He survived.
So
the
the
lava
droid saves
and catches
Vaneé
it.
from the lava.
No, he didn't. Vaneé just pulled himself in the droid. Maybe the droid wasn't malfunctioning at all. So he just pulled him in the lava. You don't know what happens next.
I see, but Vaneé might be alive. He may not have perished in the lava.
Nope. I think he is alive. So do you think that's after he got mad with lava perfumes? Or do you think that's after he disappeared or before?
I think after. I think it's completely different timeline, isn't it, in the Lego films?
Why?
Because, I mean, what are the chances that they turn Darth Vader's castle into a tourist attraction and hotel that Poe Dameron and BB-8 go and stay in?
Well, that hut was a bit mad.
Yeah. So this has been a great first episode of season 2. Thank you, Joseph. Let's go watch Rogue One and see, well, not see our listeners, but they will be back with you after that.
Oh, and if you have any ideas of what might have happened to Vaneé, and anyway, I think that was before he disappeared, or maybe after, just after probably. Well, no, before, because Poe Dameron saw him.
Yes.
He would have informed.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
So, to our listeners, send in a review of where you think he disappeared.
Yeah.
and
just
then
comment on the episode.
And we will give you a shout out on our next episode.
See you then. Bye.
Oh, and hey, you need to put the music on.
I will. Say goodbye.
Bye. I mean, bye. Can't wait for the next episode.